This is an nvidia GeForce GTX 260. It has a 448-bit memory interface, 896 megabytes of DDR3 RAM, GDDR3 VRAM, which was pretty impressive for the time. This card was launched in 2008, and the machine below it is a 2008 MacBook. This MacBook has 1 gig of RAM total and integrated graphics. This had 896 megabytes of RAM. And that's pretty impressive considering that's just the graphics card. The other thing to note about this graphics card, for the time, this cooler and shroud assembly was pretty revolutionary. So it's got a squirrel cage fan that blows out the back. Okay, nothing too revolutionary about that. But it also has these grills on these vents on the front, which if let's hold it up here, kind of look like a Dodge Charger. You know, the vents on the front of a Dodge Charger, I think they kind of look like that. This card also has a back plate, so the back of the card is completely covered. It's not just like a simple PCB with a fan stuck to it, and you can see all the capacitors, VRMs and everything else. It is actually completely covered. It even has a little rubber grommet on top of the SLI bridge up here, which you can just remove. It supports 3-way SLI, so you could have 3 of these in SLI. 192 CUDA cores, which was pretty impressive for the time. It supports DirectX 10, it does not support DirectX 10.1 or DirectX 11 unfortunately. The core clock on this is 575 MHz, which sounds insanely slow by today's standards, and well, that's because it is. Yeah, even so, this card will still run for games like Grand Theft Auto just fine at 1080p at about 40 frames per second, so still an okay card even by today's standards in some games. It can also run Fortnite and games like that just fine. It uses 182 watts of power though. Now, an electric bike a couple of years ago in the UK was only allowed to use 200 watts. So this is 18 watts off the power of an electric bike from a few years ago in the UK. So yeah, that's just the graphics card. That's the one single component of the PC. Is using 182 watts of power. And the power is supplied by 2 6-pin connectors on top of the card, which can be a bit of a problem for low profile cases and things like that. If they're at the end, it can be much easier. Depends on your case design. I got this graphics card for £10 delivered to my house from eBay, which I thought was a pretty good deal. Bearing in mind they still sell crappy cards like the GT210 for £20 here in the UK. They make a good retro gaming card, I think. I will also do some overclocking and benchmarking with this, just for the hell of it. On the back for display connections, we've got an S-Video and 2 DVIs, and that's it. That's there's not really a lot else to say about this card, except, oh yes there is, if you're wondering what the bigger brother to this card was and don't know, it was a GTX 280 that had 240 CUDA cores versus 192 that this has. That was much more expensive. This card was also about £400 in the UK when it first came out, so it's quite an expensive card, and it was in direct competition with the ATI Radeon 4850, which was a pretty impressive card for the time as well, which I think that had about half a teraflop of performance, and this did as well. It's also in DirectX 10 mode, has about similar performance to a GT 730. Yeah, when you say it like that, it don't seem so impressive, does it? But hey, you know, this thing's 10 years old. Give it a bit of a break. So we're going to put this in the system, do a few videos of benchmarking it, maybe overclock it a little bit. I'll be a little bit careful, show it a little bit of respect because it is an old card, and these are kind of getting a bit rare now. So yeah, see you in the next video. Hope you enjoy this one. I've got lots more videos about electric bikes, engineering, electronics, computer stuff, all sorts of stuff like that. Engines, car engines, normal engines, all that kind of stuff, blowing stuff up, all that kind of jazz. So, see you later.